Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast. Raw, real, and unedited. You can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. What else? Threads. Just got onto TikTok. You can hear the podcast anywhere you normally hear your podcast, and we're growing. So excited about that. Catalyst has the power to create change. We hope that's what this podcast will do. We've been talking, getting the podcast started with, walking through my journey with cancer. A 4-year period, now going on to 5 years. It'll be 4 years cancer-free in March. And, hopefully you can get something out of this story. Eventually we want to hear from you. And we're gonna try and get some guests on here as well too. But to get back to the story, we talked about my mom having a stroke. I had a mini stroke. My dad had a stroke. That was in June and July. And my father's wife raised money and then, kind of kept my father away from me. I couldn't get access to him. And, we talked about those things, and we come into September, which is kind of a mixed emotion month. During this time, I've been in the hospital for a week, and then 2 weeks out. One would be I'd get Neupogen shots, so I'd have to leave work. But the work environment was just maddening. I know at one time I talked with the HR person about getting some counseling. I thought I was just kind of losing it, especially with all that was going on with me. And it was not a friendly environment. Now, did I help to, I guess, cause that in my own way? Probably. But how I got treated by bottom to top, not wanting to accommodate me with my job, making it difficult for me to even go through it. Mind you, this place where I was at, there were people who had cancer multiple times in the company. And then came to me, I just didn't feel like I was being treated the same way. I was kind of, in a way, being let go. And it was a really, really rough time because there were all these things. And one last thing I didn't need was, going through cancer, going into the hospital was like my haven from the rest of my life. It was my safety net. And at home it wasn't good. At work it was worse. And I couldn't talk about work. And it ate me up inside. I think in some ways I got sick because of dealing with that environment. And I know one thing's for sure, it did not help it. But still, September, we were coming to what seemed like the end of the journey. We're counting down the different weeks of how many more treatments of chemo we had. And my last day was scheduled. And I remember, because we had like a tropical storm or a hurricane come in, and I was like, if I can get there early, I won't have to worry about it because they'll just let me in. I'll be there and I'll be okay in the hospital. But I sat down waiting in the lobby for almost like 2 hours. And they finally came down and said no, because of the tropical storm, we're not going to have everything available for you. And I was like, huh. Ugh. And then it was going back and forth with, okay, I was supposed to go in at this time, but now we have to adjust it. But the HR folks for my job were very, very understanding. I guess after doing it for the months that we were doing it, we kind of formed a bond. And when I could go and get my final treatment, I just went back in, and I didn't lose any FMLA, so I can just go back and not worry about that. And I remember just talking with some of the nurses while I was in the hospital for my final treatment, and some of them were very close to me, and they saw me when I first got in there, and they said it wasn't good. That I came back for the second round of chemo was a shock to them. And now to see me it was, they understood. It's amazing, like, this journey through going through this. My sanctuary was going through it. That's why I say sometimes it's, cancer was the biggest blessing in my life, because it kind of made me aware. I was aware, before then, but I really think I really truly became aware and just slowed down and paid attention to what was going on. So it was peace. It was quiet. It was, I could be myself and not have to worry about, a soon-to-be ex throwing untruths in my face, and all these things that have been building up. My mom and my dad and his wife, and at home and at work. It was to see that we were at the end of this and that was going to be over, and I could kind of focus on those other things was good. So, I remember the last PIC line we did, and the last x-rays and all that, and on the official day where I was about to go home, the nurses, because I was keto, like I was hardcore keto, while I was going through this treatment, and they brought me a Jupiter donut, and it was like a double chocolate donut. It was so good. It was really, really good. And so that was sweet. I actually still have the plate and everything from that day. we just came upon the anniversary of that day, so that's kind of cool. But to be done with that, it was great. And I remember just my walks, my exercise, and my doctor visits and hospital visits were sanctuaries for me. And to be done with it and think about the future, what was going to happen with the future. Like I said, I could put thought into some those other things that were in front of me to tackle, and it all kind of came to a head when we got to October, and there was some good and bad in October, and this is October 2019. I was looking to leave my job because I just had enough of it. Anytime the situation was unprofessional, it was the inmates running the asylum. They had more say in what happened to you than you did. So where you would have to get documented, triple checked information on these people, they can just randomly, anonymously go up and make a claim, and that claim is a fact. So I was looking for something, and as I was looking for something, there was a situation where the floor was just an insane asylum, and here I am trying to train a class, and they're not focused on doing the job, they're focused on doing a line dance, and just I was never truly respected by any of them, especially when that last class came in. And it was very crazy. But I interviewed for a place. It dealt with communications. I was going to kind of run the call center again and do some training. And we'll talk about that in episode 13. So we'll get right back to that. So again, this is the Catalyst Podcast. My name is Jason. It's raw, real, and unedited. Again, you can find us Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Podcasts can be heard all over where you can get your podcasts. Catalyst has the power to create change. We hope that's what this podcast will do. Again, thank you so much for listening. This is episode 12. I'll see you on episode 13. Go be great.